How you going? It's Alex from the Shop Before podcast. First podcast ever that I've done. Watched many, but this is the first I've done. I was creating this podcast for an avenue for people to be able to talk about anything openly, rather than feeling they've got to avoid certain topics, because everything seems to be very controversial these days. You'll offend anyone and everyone if you go one way or the other. So you just shut up and don't say a thing. And that seems to be not going in the right direction, because no one's really saying what they truly think, because we don't want to offend anyone. Before we had a stronger skin, now we seem to be concerned about everything. So I'm hoping this podcast is a place where people do talk, and no one needs to actually get angry, just to express themselves, but just words to understand why they think the way they think. One topic today I wanted to talk about is what is a man? Seems like a stupid topic to talk about, but Matt Walsh, who did the What is a Woman, and you had women at women's marches not wanting to answer the question, sort of giggling to themselves because they thought it was an odd question. I thought it was odd that they would find that an odd question, because if they don't know who they are, they can't explain why they feel they are what they are. Without offending someone, and then there's got to be an issue there. Anyway, I figured I'll just go the other way rather than focus on what is a woman, because I'm not a woman and I can't say that I know what it's like to be a woman. Anything I can say is certain women have maybe familiar interests in what they do. Doesn't mean all women have the same interests. And it's because we tend to work on the generalities and focus on what we see and group people in patterns, and you'll generally see women shopping, or you generally see women dressing up and for fashion's sake, or just so they can feel better. We tend to say that's a woman thing or that's a man thing. But even though that might be true in a lot of ways, there are obviously people who feel that doesn't particularly match for them or fit for them. So not all guys follow sports, not all guys are handy, not all guys want to prove how strong they are by lifting the heaviest things. There's obviously different types of people. There are masculine men and there are feminine men. Doesn't make them any less men, as there are masculine women and feminine women. A woman who's a bodybuilder who's got stronger muscles than most men is still a woman. And since language was created, we always focused on labeling things so we can understand and hopefully work things out through categories and groups and familiarities. I mean, the whole point is in every language there's going to be a word that means something similar, and it doesn't mean that just because one people want to say a word means this and another people disagree with it. In their eyes, maybe they feel that is the right word for that. So the word woman, which has been thrown around, is now more than just a biological thing. Now, for them, that may be true, but for the rest of the population, it isn't. So in the same circumstance, being a man isn't just showing how strong you are, or being a provider, or maybe being into sports. It's the biology that you can look in a room full of people and you can work out who shares the same biology. Now, if we disregard any of the biology and you say that guy has a lot of feminine traits, doesn't mean he's a woman because of it, just means that he has a different side to himself. There's more to him than just his physical appearance, than his appendage. Now, that seems to be confusing, because you have two groups of people. You have those who follow what language has always meant since it was created, and you have those who want to change it. Now, words like gay, which used to mean happy, are now referred to as a sexual preference. So the majority of people have accepted that as that's what the other meaning for it is. And I'm sure it also means it's still happy, but when you hear the word gay, you first think of sexual preference. Now, the LGBTQ plus and all the rest of it, the initial part is sexual preference, and the second part is how people feel. So I'm not sure how those two are the same, because someone who is a lesbian who likes women's physical appearance and now has to specify what fits and what makes sense, because what they like isn't a man, isn't what men show on their outside appearance, and sometimes even on the inside and what sort of man they are. But women who like women like their physical appearance. And you grab all women, even if they don't identify as women, and look at them biologically, they all look similar enough to share similar features. So if people want to change that and say, I'm not a woman, I may look like a woman, but inside I'm a man, the thing that is very confusing with that is we are our bodies, and whether we feel like we have to fit like everyone else doesn't mean we have to change our appearance. We can do whatever we want as long as we don't affect other people. It just makes little to no sense to change how other people view the word when they base that on biology. And for the biologists, to be saying that everything they know makes no sense, even though they've studied all biology and the DNA and the chromosomes and everything that makes people, and then to be told, no, it's how I feel. And that just seems to be crazy, because even if you were to go to approach a guy and say, how do you feel? How do you know to describe what a man feels like, other than the fact that everyone feels different in their own way? So the only thing that is similar in males is that you do tend to feel like a provider, but you want to support your wife or your woman or your partner. But at the same time, not all men feel that way. Some would rather look after their own interests. So to then say that all men are this way and all women are that way is ludicrous. I mean, the idea of a feminine man is still a man, or a masculine woman is still a woman, because we purely base that on biology. So if someone feels like they're someone, they can feel that way because they don't like the similar traits that a man has or that a woman has. But what is a man? It's purely a biology. As far as if you take away that biology and then you look at everyone else, they may share some interests. A guy might like watching love stories and read books and dress up and do anything which is what is normally considered what a woman would like doing. But it still means he's a man, because you're not basing it on his interest but on his biology. So if we want to change the word of woman or man, then that might be fine for some people, but how you can change other people's opinion of it, it just means we're speaking two complete different languages. And until people accept that the reason why we say man and woman is purely because of biology, that's nothing to do with what they do in their pastime, in their spare time. It makes no sense. So just wanted to highlight that it's not an angry thing. We're not angry at people who feel they're one sex or the other. It just makes no sense. And that's what people are finding difficult, because the logic says you can look in a room, and even if a woman has a shaved head, wearing padded clothes, and you can't see her body, you know that she's a woman because she has a softer face appearance, or most women do. Or you can tell on their face or their shape of their body or their voice. So whether it's a woman who is more leaning towards the feminine side or the masculine side, she still shares the same thing as a lot of women do. She still can have babies. She still has the female organs, the female brain. So it makes no sense to say just because she feels a certain way, you can feel like a lot of things, but whether you are those things, it's a whole different thing. It just makes no sense. So to answer what is a man, A man is whatever he does in his spare time is not what a man is. That's what a man might like, but a man is his biology.